Rio de Janeiro is an alluring city. The city magnetizes, inspires, overawes and breathes. The street scene in this carnival city is determined by hordes of tourists and tens of thousands of street children. The Brazilians don't really know much about the tragic fate of the street children who have to fight a daily battle for their existence. Every other minute, they find themselves behind bars, involved in a car accident, or robbed by the police of their paltry belongings. All of this owes to the possible threat they could form to the tourists, who swarm the world-famous beaches of Rio. The 14-year-old badly handicapped Serginho is a prisoner too. He is one of the street kids that the Canadian photojournalist Chantal James closely follows. She came to Rio a few years ago to write a report on these forgotten children for her magazine La Rampa. Despite the inconsolable misery, she fell in love with the city and decided to stay. The street kids of Ipanema were her first friends. Chantal lets them be themselves in front of the camera, as a child and as a human being.
This is one of the stories that we did for the magazine called Meninos de Rua, which is street kids. And basically, this story just kind of wasn't planned for. It happened when I met the children, Serginho, the boy that has no arms. I met him. I saw a bunch of kids lying on the beach, and I saw him, and I was quite shocked by the situation. And then I met some of the other kids, and I thought it'd be really interesting to do the story about them. They were all living in the sewer. Then Serginho actually began to have his own story, because I found him to be a very talented, really special kid who, with the major deficiencies that he has, it didn't stop him from anything. He wasn't scared of anything. He wasn't scared of anybody. He tried to do and did a lot of things by himself. You know, and for a 14-year-old boy to be living on the street with no arms, it's amazing. He loved dancing. He played soccer, like everything. Now he is, I think, unfortunately, in jail. People said that he committed a robbery, which I think is quite strange, because I don't know how somebody that has no arms can commit a robbery, but supposedly this is what he did. Many children also die in accidents. A lot of children, many of the children that I met here on the street, they've been in car accidents, hit by cars crossing the street, fallen off of bridges. People have set them on fire. I mean, they just have a lot of really horrific accidents, things that happen to them, and many of them don't, make it past their late teens. I do special portraits for them where, they pose the way they want to pose, and with their friends, like kind of like a school album, basically. So they're very happy because they don't have any photographs of themselves. They don't have any photographs of their friends. They don't have anything. I often make prints of photographs and give to them. And the idea was that everyone was going to be building up their own personal photograph album. But unfortunately, every couple of weeks or days, there's a robbery, or the city will come and attempt to move the kids. They'll take all of their belongings, so they'll take their blankets, they'll take everything that the kids own. And many times the photo albums that they've been working to put together are taken with those things, so unfortunately, I probably don't have them anymore. Sometimes I think that I shouldn't get involved because I think that I can't really necessarily, I'm not trained in that aspect, like professionally. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a social worker. But I think that because I feel that when you're photographing a subject, especially over a prolonged period of time, it's a collaboration between yourself as a photographer and the subject matter, that I think they're giving of themselves, and I think you also end up giving of yourself. I think that there's a connection that happens, and once that happens, it's difficult to step back and say, well, I'm just the photographer.
Hi, I'm Rich Wyman, musician from the United States. Every child has the right to play, whether it's music or sports. That's why I support the OneWe football playgrounds for the kids in Rio. Please visit onewee.com and come play with us.
I'm Nanko van Buren, founder of Vibis in Rio de Janeiro. Football is sport #1 in Brazil. And we use football as a weapon against crime. That's why Ibis and OneWe are building football playgrounds for the kids in Rio de Janeiro. Look at onewe.com and play with us.
Give the kids of Rio the chance to be a child again. Buy your own square metre of a football playground and let them play. Look at onewe.com and play with us.